Christopher Brohier is the State Director for South Australia for the Australian Christian Lobby. He joins me to talk about today's euthanasia debate in the Upper House. Welcome, Christopher.
Thanks, Ricky. Good to be here.
Now, Christopher, this afternoon the Legislative Council will be debating a bill for euthanasia. Could you just quickly give us a sort of around the states, which states have legalised euthanasia and actually have operative euthanasia regimes?
So, Ricky, I prefer to call it assisted suicide because physician-assisted suicide is what the World Medical Association says it should be called.
Sure.
And Victoria has had the legislation now for 2 years. West Australia has passed a bill and they've been working out the mechanics of it, and that will come into operation either later this year or early next year. And in February, Tasmania passed a bill. That'll take some time for it to become operative. So there's 3 states already. Queensland is considering it, and it's very likely to pass in Queensland, and then us here.
Yeah, in New South Wales, the Berejiklian government's been loath to go into that at this stage. They want to sort of steer clear of it, avoiding controversy. Is that right?
That's right. There's moves by some of the Nationals, I think, to bring it on, or it might be the Greens.
Sure.
But the government doesn't want to take it on because of the pushback they had on the abortion issue a couple of years ago. And the Premier has said that she won't go into that issue as a government proposal in this term of Parliament.
Yeah.
But if after the next election, then it's probably likely to come on there.
So in South Australia, you've analysed the bills that have passed and been proposed, how does this proposal marry up? How does it compare with what's been proposed or passed in other states?
So this bill is a carbon copy of the Victorian bill, and that's touted as the most conservative model around. I think there are significant problems. I know there are significant problems with the bill. West Australia is a bit more flexible than the Victorian model, and then Tasmania has taken another step as well to make it easier to access physician-assisted suicide.
Now, we spoke with the ACL's Deputy Director Dan Flynn yesterday about a push in Victoria when their state parliament resumed from a Western Victorian MP to expand their law so you could access euthanasia via the internet or via telephone. That's not something that's in this current bill?
No, it's not. It's in the Tasmanian bill, but not in this bill. And the reason for that is there's a significant legal problem because the Commonwealth legislation, Commonwealth Crimes Act, makes it a crime to discuss suicide using an electronic carriage mechanism. So at the moment, to discuss physician-assisted suicide using the telephone or internet is conceivably a crime under Commonwealth law. So what the states are arguing is that because they define in the legislation physician-assisted suicide as not suicide, they get around that, but there are real problems with that.
Sure. In the Legislative Council, the people elected there represent the whole state, but there are a couple of regionally based or people from regional areas. We've got Claire Scriven, MLC, a Labor MLC who comes from the southeast, and I think Nicola Senafani comes from the Riverland. Are they on record during this debate which way they intend to go on this bill?
They're opposed to the bill. Nicola and Claire are 2 of the stars in the upper house from our point of view, but also I think can be fairly said in terms of competence. They're standouts in that house, and they're very clear in their opposition to this bill.
And what do you think? You would have analysed the numbers. Do you think this bill has a chance of getting up today or sometime this week?
It'll sail through in the upper house.
Right, and so then where does it go from there?
Then it goes down to the lower house. And in the lower house, it's a private members' bill, so they only have an hour and a half every sitting week. So up to December, when everything was shut down for Christmas and then for the election in March, they've probably got about 9.5 hours of debating time. And so there's a chance that this won't get done before the election.
I see. But I think from memory with the abortion debate, when those laws passed not long ago, Attorney General Vicky Chapman picked up a private member's bill and ran it on government time. Is there a prospect that the Liberals might do that here?
There always is that prospect. I have some sort of, these rumours that float around that the Premier won't do that for this bill, but I don't know. If that happens, then obviously it'll come on a lot quicker, and that may be what the proponents of the bill are pushing. The difference with the abortion bill was that Vicky Chapman, the Attorney General, was the propounder of that bill in the lower house. In this case, it's being sponsored by Susan Close, who's the Deputy Leader of the Opposition. So what the government does, obviously, I don't know. But if it remains private members' bill time, then there is a chance it won't all be dealt with before the election. Yeah,
and when we look at the lower house and a vote that may come on this, we've got our regionally based MPs. You've got Peter Treloar, who's retiring in the Eyre Peninsula, Nick McBride in the southeast, Stefan Knoll in the Barossa, Dan Van Holst-Pelican in Stewart, Jeff Brock, the independent, around Port Pirie for the time being, and Fraser Ellis, now an independent on the York Peninsula. Do we know any of their clear positions one way or another on this bill at this stage?
So starting from the southeast, Nick McBride will vote for the bill. He's on record as saying that. He's very much pro-choice. He stands opposed to much of his electorate on these matters. Stefan Knoll will probably vote against it. Dan Van Holst-Pelican, it's hard to say. He never gives much. I would reckon the man from the West Coast will...
Peter Treloar, yep.
Peter Treloar will vote against it. And Jeff Brock, I don't know.
Yep.
We ran a forum yesterday in Parliament House. Dennis Hood sponsored it. And we had Professor Ian Olver, who is one of Australia's leading medical oncologists. We had Mark Rice, a retired magistrate, and we had Reverend Barry Manuel speak.
Yes.
Jeff Brock sat through all of that, and it was very good to see him there.
Yes.
He voted the right way on abortion, so...
The right way from your point of view in a pro-life direction, just to clarify.
Yes, in a pro-life direction. Yeah. He opposed that bill right through. So there's hope there. And who else was there?
Fraser Ellis and Adrian Pederick.
I would reckon
Fraser
Fraser would vote against the bill.
Yep. And Adrian Pederick, we got any mail on where he might go on
He was there as well yesterday. So my sense would be that he would be against it. Troy Bell might vote for it. I haven't canvassed his position, but he voted against the abortion bill, and that was because he learned that they leave unborn babies to die, and he said he couldn't stomach that. I'm not sure how he'll vote on this one.
Yeah, and I guess unlike some recent votes like one yesterday that happened where you've got these independents and the government doesn't control the House anymore, it's a conscience vote for all MPs, I gather, on euthanasia in both houses. So it's not going to matter how close it is between government and opposition here. It's really for each individual member on their conscience. Is that right?
Yes. My understanding is that the Labor people haven't changed their positions that much from the last vote. If there's a change, and the research we've done suggests that there is a change, there is more of a move to pass this from the government members' side.
The Liberal members' side?
From the Liberal members' side. On our best crunching of the numbers, where we come short at the moment. So have to wait and see.
Yeah, okay. Well, we will watch this with quite great interest because it's going to be a hot one going into the state elections. So thanks for your breakdown on analysis on that, Christopher. Much appreciated.
Thanks, Ricky, and great to be on Flow.
If you're someone in crisis or knows someone who is, or just want to talk about the matters covered in this segment, please contact Lifeline on 131114. That number 131114 for Lifeline.